pushed the cargo container across the loading bay floor. His muscles ached from the long shift, but he didn't complain. That wasn't his way. He never said much to anyone on Meridian 7 station. He just did his work, ate his meals, and slept in his small quarters in the cargo district. The station was busy today, more busy than usual, had seen ships coming and going all morning. Big ships, important ships. He heard other workers talking about some kind of meeting, something about a treaty. Didn't pay much attention to politics. He just wanted to finish his shift and get some rest. Hey, a voice called out. It was another cargo handler, talked a lot. He knew everything that happened on the station. Did you hear? They are here. Looked up from his work. The what? The thighs were wide. You know, the big scary ones, the predators. They say one of them can rip through steel doors with their bare claws. They're here for the treaty talks. Nodded slowly. He had heard of everyone in the galaxy had heard of them. They were the species that made other species afraid. 8 feet tall, covered in armored scales, with claws that could cut through almost anything. They came from a death world where everything tried to kill everything else. They had climbed to the top of their food chain and stayed there. They brought their family, continued. A male, his mate, and their cubs, can you believe it? Cubs on our station. That's nice, said. He went back to pushing his container. Shook his head. Nice, these aren't puppies. Cubs are dangerous. They have venom in their bite. Their claws are sharp from birth. The station is keeping them in a special secured area. Shrugged, I'm sure they'll be fine. Up in the administrative offices, stared at her computer screen. She was the station administrator, which meant every problem became her problem. And right now, she had a very big problem walking through her station. Was his name? He was the diplomat, had seen pictures, but pictures didn't prepare you for the real thing. He was massive. His scales were dark green and black, and they gleamed under the station lights. His eyes were yellow with vertical slits. When he spoke, she could see rows of sharp teeth. But what scared her most was how calm he seemed. Everyone said were violent and aggressive. Was neither. He was polite. He spoke softly. He thanked her staff for their service. That somehow made him more frightening, like a blade hidden in silk. Administrator said in his deep, rumbling voice, I want to thank you for accommodating my family. I know our presence causes fear. Not at all, lied. We're honored to host the negotiations. Tilted his head. His long neck made the gesture look strange. You are a poor liar, but a kind one. I appreciate the effort. Felt her face turn red. I apologize, I didn't mean. No apology needed. Made a sound that might have been a laugh. We know what we are. We know how others see us. It is the burden of being apex predators. In the medical bay, checked her supplies for the 3rd time. She was the station's chief medical officer. She had treated dozens of species over the years, but she had never treated a. She hoped she wouldn't need to. Their biology was different from most species. Their blood could burn through some metals. Their immune system attacked foreign objects with terrifying efficiency. Stop worrying, said her assistant. They're not here for medical treatment. They're here for politics. I know, said, but I like to be prepared. You're always prepared. That's why you're the best. Smiled, always knew what to say. Did you see them yet? From a distance, I stayed far away, very far away, shuddered. The cubs are almost as big as us and they're still bobbies. Cubs are cubs, said. Every species protects their young. Yes, but cubs can kill you while they're protecting themselves. The day passed slowly. The family stayed in their quarters. The treaty talks were scheduled to begin tomorrow. The station tried to return to normal, but everyone was nervous. You could feel it in the air. Workers moved faster. Conversations were quieter. Even the usual fights in the bars stopped. Nobody wanted to cause trouble when they were around. Finished his shift as the station lights dimmed for night cycle. He walked to the cafeteria and got his dinner. Protein paste and vegetables. The same thing he ate every day. He sat alone at a corner table, the way he always did. Minyu, one of the station security officers, sat down across from him. Mind if I join you? Shook his head. Go ahead. Crazy day, huh? Minyu said. I heard. You don't seem worried. Took a bite of his food. Should I be? I don't know, maybe. They're predators, real predators, not like the stories, the actual thing. Every species has predators, said. Even Earth had predators. We lived with them. We also stayed away from them. Sometimes, finished his meal, but sometimes we didn't. Sometimes we made friends. Minyu laughed. You can't make friends with a. Stood up with his empty tray. Probably not. Good night, Minyu. Good night. Walked back to his quarters in the cargo residential block. It wasn't fancy, just a small room with a bunk, a storage locker, and a tiny bathroom. But it was his. He liked it here. It was quiet, away from the busy parts of the station. He didn't know that on the other side of the station in the secured diplomatic quarters, 3 cubs were getting restless. They were bored. Their parents were in meetings. The quarters were too small. They wanted to explore. He didn't know that the youngest cub had found a ventilation shaft, that cubs were excellent climbers, that they could fit through spaces that seemed too small for them. He didn't know that tomorrow everything would change. Just brushed his teeth, changed into his sleep clothes, and lay down on his bunk. He was asleep in minutes. He slept deeply, the way people do when they work hard and have nothing to worry about. On the other side of the station, 3 small shapes moved through the darkness of the ventilation system. They chirped softly to each other. They were on an adventure, and they had no idea where they were going. The alarm woke at 400 station time. Her communicator was buzzing on her nightstand. She grabbed it, still half asleep. "This is Administrator, we have a situation." It was the head of station security. His voice was tight with stress. "The cubs are missing." Was suddenly very awake. She sat up in bed. "What do you mean missing?" "Gone from their quarters. We don't know how, we don't know when. We just know they're not there." "I'll be right there." Was already getting dressed. "Lock down the station right now. Nobody moves, nobody leaves. Find those cubs." She ran through the corridors to the security center. Her heart was pounding. This was bad. This was very, very bad. Cubs missing on her station. If something happened to them, if they got hurt, if someone hurt them, the parents would. She didn't want to think about what the parents would do. The security center was chaos. Every screen showed different parts of the station. Security officers were running everywhere, stood in the center, shouting orders. He looked tired and scared. Report said. Pulled up footage on the main screen. The cubs were in their quarters at 2300 hours. We have video. They were playing with some kind of puzzle their parents gave them. Then at 2347 they all moved to the back of the room. After that, he shook his head. Nothing. They just vanish. The cameras keep recording, but the cubs are gone. That's impossible. I know, but that's what happened. Did they leave through the door? No, the door never opened. We checked the logs. It's been sealed since the family went asleep. Stared at the screen. 3 cubs, each about the size of a large dog, just disappeared. Where are the parents? We haven't told them yet. We have to tell them. I know, I just wanted to have more information first, maybe find the cubs before. We have to tell them now, before they wake up and find out on their own. Nodded. He looked like he might be sick. I'll go. No, I'll go. It's my station, my responsibility. Walked to the diplomatic quarters. Each step felt heavy. She had faced many difficult situations in her career. Reactor failures, hull breaches, disease outbreaks, but nothing scared her like knocking on this door. She knocked, waited, the door opened. Stood there. He was even bigger than she remembered. He looked down at her with those yellow eyes. Administrator, it is early. Is something wrong? May I come in? His eyes narrowed. For the first time she saw something dangerous there. Where are my cubs? So he already knew. Of course he knew. We're looking for them. They left their quarters sometime after midnight. We have the entire station searching. Maid appeared behind him. She was slightly smaller, but her scales were darker, more scars. She smelled the air. Then she made a sound. It was high-pitched, piercing. It hurts ears. That is a warning call, said quietly. She is telling the station that a mother is looking for her cubs. Every species in the galaxy knows that sound. It means danger. We will find them, said. I promise. You do not understand. Stepped into the hallway. Cubs are not like your human children. They are predators. They have instincts. If they are scared, they will attack. If they are cornered, they will kill. We'll be careful. No, you will be dead. My cubs are trained, but they are still young, still learning control. If someone tries to catch them, tries to trap them, my cubs will defend themselves, and anyone who gets in their way will die. In the medical bay was running tests on the biological scanners. I'm picking up something, she said. Very faint, 3 signals, biosigns. Where? His voice came through the communicator. Lower cargo district, near the residential blocks. Across the station, evacuation began. The smart species left immediately. They packed their things in minutes. They abandoned their trade goods and ran for their ships. They didn't even pack. They just ran. Other humans stayed. Most of the human crew stayed. They had jobs to do, a station to run, but they were afraid. They had seen in the videos. They knew what those claws could do. Was loading supplies when he saw something move. A shadow in the corner of the cargo bay. Small, fast. Hello, he called out. The shadow stopped, then moved again toward the residential section. Grabbed his communicator. This is in Cargo Bay 7. I saw something. Heading toward the residential blocks. Might be the cubs. Security teams assembled. They wore full armor, carried stun weapons, nets, tranquilizer guns, everything they had, but they moved slowly, carefully. They were hunting the most dangerous children in the galaxy. Minyu led his team through the corridors. Every sound made them jump. Every shadow could be a cub. "Remember," he said to his team, "don't corner them. Don't threaten them. We're just trying to locate them. Once we know where they are, we call the parents." "What if they attack?" asked a young officer. "Then we run very fast." They searched for hours, checked every room, every storage closet, every maintenance shaft. Nothing. The cubs were small enough to hide almost anywhere, smart enough to avoid patrols. Walked through the station with his mate. Humans and aliens pressed themselves against walls as they passed. The couple moved silently, sniffing the air, listening, hunting. "This is strange," said two who followed at a safe distance. "The cubs should be scared, should be calling for us. We would hear them anywhere on this station." "Maybe they're not scared," said. "Impossible. They are in a strange place, away from family. They should be terrified." But there was no sound, no calling, just silence. In his quarters was still asleep. He had slept through the alarm. His quarters were in a section with bad speakers. The sound was muted. He didn't hear the announcements, didn't hear the search teams running past. He just slept, dreaming of nothing important. Outside his door, three small shapes approached. They moved quietly. Their claws made soft clicking sounds on the metal floor. They stopped its door. The smallest one chirped, a questioning sound. The other two chirped back. They seemed to be talking, deciding something. Then the smallest one reached up with one clawed hand, pressed the door button. The door opened. It wasn't locked, never locked his door. There was nothing to steal, no reason for locks. The three cubs entered. They looked around the small room, sniffed the air. Their tails swished back and forth, curious, not afraid. Slept on, unaware. The cubs moved closer to the bunk. The smallest one jumped up, landed softly on the mattress, looked at the sleeping human, tilted its head. Then it curled up on his chest. The other two cubs jumped up too. One settled near his legs, the other by his side. They made soft rumbling sounds, comfortable, safe. And outside, the station searched desperately for three cubs that had already found exactly what they were looking for. The security team arrived at the cargo residential block at 6:30 hours. They had traced the biosigns to this area. Somewhere in these corridors, three cubs were hiding. Minyu held up his hand. His team stopped. They checked their equipment one more time. Stun weapons ready, emergency medical kits, communication devices, everything they might need. "Remember," Minyu whispered, "we're not here to catch them, just to find them. Once we know where they are, we call the parents immediately." Nodded. She was sweating inside her armor. "Which quarters do we check first?" Said the biosigns are strongest near room C47. Minyu checked his scanner. "That's room." The cargo handler. "Yes, let's go quietly." They moved down the corridor. Each step was careful, silent. They didn't want to startle the cubs. Startled cubs meant injuries or worse. They reached the door. Minyu scanned it with his biological scanner. The screen lit up, three signals clear and strong, inside the room. "They're in there," he whispered, "all three of them." "What do we do?" asked. "We need to see inside, check if it's okay, then we call the parents." Minyu activated his communicator. "This is Security Team 5. We've located the cubs. They're in quarters C47. Sending coordinates now. We're going to do a visual check. Stand by." His voice came through immediately. "Understood, and his mate are on their way. Do not engage, do not enter, just watch the door." "Copy that." But Minyu was worried. What if was hurt? What if the cubs had attacked him? They couldn't just wait outside. They had to know. He pulled up the override codes. Every security officer had them for emergencies. This was definitely an emergency. "I'm going to open the door," he said quietly. "Just a little, just to look." Minyu said. "I know what she said, but I'm not leaving in there without checking." He entered the codes. The door unlocked with a soft click. He pressed the button. The door slid open, just a few inches. Minyu looked inside, then he froze. "What is it?" whispered. "What do you see?" Minyu couldn't speak. He just stared. Moved closer, looked through the gap. Her eyes went wide. Inside the small room on the narrow bunk was sleeping. On his chest, curled into a tight ball, was the smallest cub. The other two cubs were pressed against his sides. All three were making soft rumbling sounds, like purring. Their eyes were closed. Their claws were retracted. And had one hand resting on the smallest cub's back, like he was petting it. Is he alive?" whispered. As if answering her question, shifted slightly in his sleep. The smallest cub made a quiet chirp. His hand moved, gently scratching behind the cub's head. The cub's rumbling got louder. "Oh my God," Minyu said. "Should we wake him?" I don't know what to do." Footsteps echoed down the corridor, fast, heavy. The security team turned, and his mate were running toward them. Behind them struggled to keep up. The couple saw the open door, saw the security team. Eyes went from yellow to almost orange, angry, protective. "Where are my cubs?" he growled. Minyu stepped aside. "In there, but sir, you need to see this for yourself." Pushed past him, his mate followed. They both looked into the room. And they stopped. Made a sound. It was low, confused, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. His mate sniffed the air. Then she made that high-pitched sound again, but this time it was different, not a warning call, something else. "Impossible," said. "This is impossible." Finally caught up, she was breathing hard. "What's happening? Are the cubs okay?" Didn't answer, he just kept staring. Looked into the room. "Oh," she said. That was all she could say, just oh. Inside's eyes opened. He blinked slowly, yawned. Then he noticed the weight on his chest. He looked down at the small cub. The cub looked back up at him with big yellow eyes. "Hey there," said sleepily. His voice was soft, gentle. "You're up early." The cub chirped, its tail wagged. Noticed the other two cubs. "Oh, you brought friends." He scratched the smallest cub's head again. "That's nice." Then he noticed the door was open. Noticed all the people staring at him. Security officers in armor, too massive, looking shocked. Said, "Good morning." Nobody answered, they just stared. Sat up slowly, carefully. The smallest cub climbed from his chest to his lap. The other two cubs stretched and yawned, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Is something wrong?" asked. "How are you alive?" Minyu finally said. "What?" "The cubs, how are you alive? Why aren't you hurt?" Looked confused. "Hurt? Why would I be hurt?" "Those are cubs," said. "They're dangerous." These guys looked at the cubs. "They're not dangerous, they're just scared." "Scared?" Voice was very quiet, very controlled. "My cubs are not scared, they are predators." "With respect, sir," said. "They were definitely scared last night. They came to my door making these sad little chirping sounds. They seemed lost, so I let them in." "You let them in," repeated. "You opened your door for 3 cubs in the middle of the night." "Well, yes, they seemed like they needed help." "And then?" "Then I gave them some of my ration bars. They were hungry. After they ate, the little one here climbed onto my bunk. The others followed. They wouldn't leave, so I figured I'd just lie down for a bit until they felt better." The smallest cub chirped and nuzzled against hand. "You fell asleep," said, "with my cubs on your chest." "I guess so. I was pretty tired from my shift." His mate moved closer to the door. She sniffed again. Then she spoke. Her voice was deeper than her mate's. She spoke in the language, answered her. They had a brief conversation. Then looked at, "My mate wants to know, did the cubs hurt you at all? Did they scratch you, bite you?" "No, why would they?" "Because that is what cubs do to strangers. They attack, they defend, they kill." Shook his head. "These 3 just wanted to sleep. They were gentle. Well, the middle one here has sharp claws. He poked me a little when he was climbing up, but it wasn't on purpose." The middle cub made a sound, almost apologetic. "You speak as if they understand you," said. "Don't they?" "They are young. Their understanding is limited." "They seem pretty smart to me." Gently moved the smallest cub from his lap and stood up. The cubs made disappointed sounds. "Do you want them back now? I can carry them if they're too tired to walk." "You would carry them," said. It wasn't a question. "Sure, I mean if that's okay. They're pretty heavy, but I can manage." Finally found her voice. "Do you understand what you did? Do you understand how dangerous this was?" "I helped some lost kids," said. He seemed genuinely confused by all the fuss. "That's all." Stepped into the room. Every security officer tensed, but the diplomat just walked slowly to, looked down at him, was barely 5.5 feet tall, was over 8 feet. The size difference was enormous. "You helped them," said. "Yes." "You fed them, let them sleep on you, protected them." "I guess so." "Why?" "Thought about it, because they needed help. Isn't that reason enough?" Stared at for a long moment. The small human looked back calmly, not afraid, not nervous, just confused about why everyone was making such a big deal. "Come with me," finally said. "Both of you, you and my cubs, we need to talk." "Okay," said. He looked at the cubs. "Come on, guys, your dad wants us." The cubs jumped off the bunk. They followed like ducklings following their mother. The smallest one stayed right by his leg. When walked, it walked. When stopped, it stopped. Watched them leave. She looked at Minyu. "What just happened?" "I have no idea," Minyu said, "but I need to file the strangest report of my career." In the diplomatic quarters, mate examined the cubs. She checked them over carefully, looked at their claws, their teeth, their scales. She smelled them, then she looked at. She spoke in, translated. "She says the cubs smell like you, like they have been with you for much longer than one night. She wants to know what you did to them. I didn't do anything, said. I just let them sleep. I think I might have hummed a little. I do that sometimes when I'm falling asleep. You hummed? Yeah, nothing special, just humming. It helps me relax. The mate spoke again, longer this time. She says this is impossible, translated. Cubs only bond with their parents, only family. They attack everything else. It is instinct, survival. The cubs that are too trusting die. So evolution made our cubs very, very cautious, very aggressive to strangers. Maybe they knew I wasn't dangerous, said. Hell, I don't know, smell, sound. Maybe they could tell I wouldn't hurt them. Arrived then, she had her medical equipment. I heard you wanted someone to examine. Yes, said. Please check him. Tell me if there is anything unusual. Set up her scanner. Just stand still for a moment. Did as he was told. The scanner hummed. Lights moved over his body. Watched the screen. Her eyebrows went up. Well, asked. He's normal, said. Completely normal, human. Nothing special in his biology. No mutations. No unusual pheromones. Just a regular human. That cannot be right. Scan again. Scan again. Same results. I'm sorry, he's just normal. Another human doctor arrived. He had brought more equipment. Let me try with the genetic scanner. They scanned 3 more times. Each time the same result. Normal human, nothing special. Sat down heavily. His mate sat beside him. They both looked tired. I do not understand, said. In all of history our cubs have never done this. Never bonded with another species. Never trusted a stranger. Never. The smallest cub walked over to, looked up at him, made a soft sound. Bent down and picked it up. The cub settled into his arms like it belonged there, started purring again. Never that, finished quietly. Had joined them now, she had been doing research. I found something, she said. She pulled up files on her tablet. Other species have reported similar things, with humans, not exactly like this but similar. What do you mean? Asked. Though they're war hounds, they're bred to be aggressive, attack animals, but there's a case here from 3 years ago. A hound escaped on a trading station. It was injured and dangerous. Security couldn't get near it. Then a human mechanic named Jinnah approached it. What happened? The hound let her help it, let her bandage its wounds, even let her take it back to its owner. They were amazed. They said their hounds never trust anyone but their handlers. Leaned forward, continue. Though their young are poisonous to touch. Their skin secretes toxins. Parents wear special coverings to hold them. But there's a report here of a human doctor who held an infant without any protection. The infant didn't secrete toxins. They said it had never happened before. Moore said. Scrolled through files. All of them have stories. Animals that humans shouldn't be able to approach. Creatures that should attack on sight, but humans just walk up to them, feed them, pet them, and the creatures let them. This is known, asked. This is documented. It's been noticed, but nobody really studied it. Most species just think humans are crazy, suicidal. They don't understand that it actually works. Stood up, he walked to where stood holding the cub. May I ask you a question? Sure, said. What did you feel when you saw my cubs at your door? Thought about it? I felt sad. They looked lost, scared, like they didn't know where they were or how to get home. I wanted to help them feel safe. You were not afraid? Of 3 scared kids? No, why would I be afraid of that? They have claws, teeth, venom. They're still just kids. Turn 2. I need to speak with your human crew. All of them. Anyone who has had experiences with animals or creatures from other worlds. I can arrange that. An hour later, the conference room was full. 12 humans sat around the table, and his mate listened to their stories. Jinnah told about the hound. It was bleeding, whimpering. I just couldn't leave it like that, so I walked up slowly, talked to it softly. It let me help. Talked about finding a wounded flyer in a cargo hold. It was a predator, should have attacked me, but it just looked at me with these big eyes. I wrapped it in my jacket and took it to the vet. Mentioned the time she helped a colony of insects that had gotten into the station's hydroponics. Everyone wanted to exterminate them, but they were just trying to survive. I caught them gently and released them outside the station. Story after story, humans helping creatures, creatures accepting help, things that should be impossible. Listened to all of it. His mate listened too. She asked questions through him, wanted details, wanted to understand. Finally spoke. I think I understand now. Humans are not special biologically. Your scans prove that, but you are special. You have something we call pack instinct, but yours is different. Broken. Extended. What do you mean? Asked. Most species have pack instinct for their own kind. Family, tribe, species. Humans have it for everything. You see something in pain and your instinct says help it. You see something scared and your instinct says protect it. You see something lost and your instinct says bring it home, even if that thing could kill you. That does sound like us, admitted. And somehow, continued, other creatures sense this. They sense that you mean no harm, that you want to help, so they trust you, even when their instincts should tell them to run or fight. Is that a good thing? Asked. He was still holding the cub. I do not know, said honestly. It seems dangerous, foolish even, you could be killed so easily. But we're not, Jinnah pointed out. Most of the time it works. Most of the time is not always. No, but it's enough. His mate spoke, long sentences in, listened, then nodded. My mate says that humans are either the bravest species in the galaxy or the most stupid. She has not decided which, but she says any species that can make cubs feel safe deserves respect. She walked over too, looked down at him, at her cub in his arms. Then she did something that made everyone in the room gasp. She touched his head gently with her clawed hand. It was a gesture, one parent to another, recognition, respect. You kept them safe, translated. When they were lost and afraid, you gave them shelter. In culture, this creates a bond, a debt. You are now considered kin-friend, honorary family. I just let them sleep on my bunk, said. To you it was nothing, to us it is everything. The treaty negotiations started 3 hours later than scheduled, but nobody complained. Word had spread through the station about what happened, about the human and the cubs, about the impossible bond. The delegates arrived slowly, carefully. They watched in his family, watched the way the cubs kept looking toward the door, waiting for something, someone. When arrived, walking nervously in borrowed formal clothes, the cubs made excited sounds. They ran to him. The smallest one jumped into his arms before he could even sit down. The delegates stared. These were experienced diplomats from a dozen species. They had seen many strange things, but this was new. Stood at the head of the table. Before we begin formal negotiations, I want to say something I have learned during my time on this station. The room went quiet. We pride ourselves on strength, on being apex predators, on being feared throughout the galaxy. We thought this made us superior, powerful. He paused. We were wrong. Murmurs around the table. True power is not in claws or teeth. True power is in being strong enough to be gentle, dangerous enough to kill but choosing not to. That is what humans have taught me. He gestured too, who looked very uncomfortable with all the attention. This human took 3 cubs into his home, fed them, protected them, let them sleep on his chest. He did this knowing they could kill him, knowing they had claws and venom and instincts that might turn violent. He did it anyway, because they needed help. The smallest cub purred loudly in his arms. I have studied human history, continued. On Earth, humans lived alongside predators much larger and stronger than themselves. Bears, tigers, wolves. They did not just survive these creatures, they befriended them. They turned wolves into dogs, they rode horses. They kept cats in their homes. Cats, small predators that kill for pleasure, and humans loved them. A delegate made a clicking sound. This is madness. Is it? Asked. Or is it genius? Humans did not conquer their world through strength alone. They conquered it through bonds, through turning enemies into allies, through finding family in the strangest places. Spoke up, what are you saying? I am saying that humans are more dangerous than any predator, not because they kill well, but because they make friends well. They see something that should be an enemy and they think, how can I help this? That is terrifying. That is powerful. The negotiations proceeded, but everything had changed. The other species looked at the humans differently now, with respect, with caution, with curiosity. Over the next 3 days, the treaty was signed, trade agreements were made, borders were established, but more than that, relationships were formed. They agreed to cultural exchange. They wanted to study humans, understand them, learn from them. The open trade routes they had kept closed for decades. They offered technology they had never shared before. All because of 3 cubs sleeping on a cargo handler's chest. On the final day before the family left held a private ceremony. The human crew was invited, security officers, medical staff, administrators, and spoke in. His voice was formal, ceremonial, then he switched to the common language. Cargo handler of Meridian 7 Station, you have been declared kin-friend to the family of. This means you are family, not by blood, but by choice, by action, by bond. He held out a small object. It looked like a claw, but it was metal carved with symbols. This is a kin-friend token. It marks you as protected. Any who sees this will know you are one of us. They will defend you as they would defend their own cubs. Took it carefully. I don't know what to say. Say you will visit us. My cubs will want to see their friend. I'd like that. The cubs gathered around. The smallest one climbed up his leg to his shoulder, nuzzled his neck. The other two pressed against his sides. His mate took a picture. The first photograph of a human being loved by cubs. It would become famous across the galaxy. That evening in the station cafeteria sat at his usual table, but he wasn't alone. Sat across from him, Jinnah next to him, Minyu and at the end, and joined them. "You're famous now," said the man who befriended the apex predators. "I just helped some kids," said for the 100th time. "You made history," corrected. She had pulled up her tablet. "Look at this. News feeds across the galaxy. Human adopts cubs. Impossible bond between species. The gentle predator." "Please don't call me that." "Too late, it's your new nickname." Came over to their table. She looked tired but happy. "I wanted to thank you. The treaty negotiations went better than anyone expected. They are recommending this station for major trade routes. We're going to be the hub for 3 sectors. That's good. It's more than good, it's incredible, and it's because of you. I really didn't do anything special." Smiled. "That's what makes it special. You just did what came naturally to you. You saw someone who needed help and you helped them. You didn't think about politics or danger or what you could gain. You just helped." "That's what humans do," Minyu said, "apparently." "Is it?" asked. Everyone at the table nodded. "I guess so," Jinnah said. "I mean, we've all done it. Helped something we probably shouldn't have helped. I can't count the number of times I've picked up something dangerous just because it looks sad. I once carried a stinger beast out of a burning building," admitted. "It could have killed me with one touch, but it was scared. I rehabilitated a whole nest of snappers," said. "They're called snappers because they bite hard, but they were just bobbies. They needed someone." Story after story around the table. Humans doing impossible things because someone needed help. "We're crazy," said finally. "As a species, we're absolutely crazy." "Maybe," agreed, "but it's a good kind of crazy." Weeks passed. Life on Meridian 7 returned to normal. The other delegates left. The station went back to being a trading hub. Quiet, routine. But things had changed. More species wanted to visit, to meet the humans, to understand them. The station became famous, the place where impossible things happened. Went back to his cargo handling job. He still ate alone in the cafeteria, still slept in his small quarters, still didn't talk much. But now, when he walked through the station, people nodded to him, smiled. Aliens who used to avoid humans now stopped to greet him. And sometimes late at night he would get a message, a video call from a millions of light years away. 3 cubs would appear on screen, chirping excitedly. They would show him their toys, tell him about their day, ask when he would visit. And would smile, a real smile, and promise he would come soon. One evening found on the observation deck, he was watching the stars, thinking. "Mind if I join you?" she asked. "Go ahead." They stood in silence for a while, watching ships come and go, watching the galaxy turn. "You know what the other species are saying about us?" asked. "About humans." "What?" "They're saying we're the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because we're strong, not because we're smart, but because we make friends with everything. They say if humans ever decided to unite the galaxy, we wouldn't do it with weapons. We'd do it with kindness, and nobody would know how to fight against that." Thought about it? That's silly. Is it? You united a dozen species in 3 days, without trying, just by being yourself. I helped some scared kids. You did more than that. You showed everyone that being strong doesn't mean being cruel, that being dangerous doesn't mean being violent, that the scariest predator in the room can still choose to be gentle. They are the scariest predators. No, we are, because we can make them love us. Smiled a little. When you put it that way, it does sound kind of scary. It should, but it's also beautiful. Looked at him. You're going to visit them, aren't you, the cubs? Yeah, I promised. Good, keep your promise, keep being you. The galaxy needs more of that. She left him there, watching the stars, thinking about cubs with claws and venom who just wanted a safe place to sleep, about how easy it was to help when someone needed help, about how love could be stronger than fear. And somewhere out in the darkness of space, on a world of predators and danger, 3 cubs slept peacefully, dreaming of the gentle human who had shown them that the galaxy was bigger and kinder than they knew. The human who had taught even apex predators that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is be soft. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is care. And that family isn't about species or biology. It's about who makes you feel safe when you're lost in the dark.